Take a sip. Go on. If there's a glass of water near you right now, pick it up. Feel the weight of it in your hand. Watch the way the light bends through it. Bring it to your lips. Let it slide down your throat, cool and silent and familiar. Now consider this. You may have just swallowed the most dangerous molecule on Earth. I know. That sounds absurd. Water is life. Water is purity. Water is the very symbol of cleanliness, of innocence, of birth itself. We baptize children in it. We build civilizations around it. We search distant planets for even the faintest trace of it, because where there is water, we believe, there is hope. But what if I told you that the same molecule we celebrate as the cradle of life is also one of the most relentless, corrosive, deceptive, and quietly violent substances in the known universe? What if water, this clear, tasteless, gentle liquid, is responsible for more death, more destruction, more slow and patient annihilation than almost anything else on this planet? Stay with me, because by the end of this, you're going to look at that glass in your hand very, very differently. Let's start with something strange, something almost no one stops to think about. Water is a chemical. That seems obvious when you say it out loud, but we don't really feel it that way, do we? We feel that water is just water. It's the background of existence. It's the thing other things are dissolved in. It's the neutral canvas on which life paints itself. But chemically speaking, water is not neutral at all. It is, in fact, one of the most aggressive substances in nature. Its formula is IH2 two hydrogen atoms clinging to one oxygen atom. Simple, elegant, almost childlike in its symmetry. And yet, the geometry of that tiny molecule hides something sinister. The oxygen atom hoards electrons greedily, pulling them away from the hydrogens. This creates what chemists call a polar molecule, a molecule with a slightly negative end and a slightly positive end, a tiny, invisible magnet. And that, my friend, is where the trouble begins. Because a polar molecule doesn't just sit there politely. It tugs, it pulls, it pries things apart. Salt? Water rips it into pieces. Sugar? Dissolved in seconds. Stone? Given enough time, water will hollow out a mountain like it's nothing. Water is called the universal solvent for a reason. It dissolves more substances than any other liquid known to science. And here's the unsettling truth most people never consider. When something dissolves, it isn't just disappearing. It is being torn apart, atom by atom, bond by bond. Water is patient. Water is quiet. But water is always, always taking things apart. Let me tell you about the Grand Canyon. Stand on its edge and you'll see something almost incomprehensible. A wound in the earth, over 270 miles long, more than a mile deep, carved into solid rock. Layers upon layers of stone, exposed like the pages of a book pages that record nearly 2 billion years of geological history. What carved it? Water. Just water. The Colorado River, flowing patiently, year after year, century after century. No explosions, no earthquakes, no cosmic catastrophe. Just a river doing what water does, dissolving, eroding, taking apart. We tend to think of destruction as loud. We think of fire and lightning and the roar of volcanoes. But water destroys in silence. Water destroys with patience. And given enough time, there is nothing, not granite, not basalt, not the iron heart of the earth itself, that water cannot wear down. There's a saying in geology, water always wins. Mountains rise, continents shift, empires of stone push themselves toward the sky, and water, drop by drop, brings them all back down to the sea. Now consider this. Every river you've ever crossed, every stream you've ever waded through, each one is carrying away a piece of the world. Sediment, minerals, dissolved rock, all of it being transported slowly and inexorably toward the oceans. Scientists estimate that rivers carry roughly 20 billion tons of material into the sea every single year. 20 billion tons of Earth itself being eaten alive by water. And it isn't just rocks. Water doesn't discriminate. It dissolves bones. It rusts iron. It rots wood. It cracks concrete in winter, freezing in tiny crevices and prying them open with the force of 1,000 wedges. Every abandoned house you've ever seen collapsing back into the earth water did that. Every shipwreck on the ocean floor, slowly being unmade water, is the one unmaking it. Water is not the gentle nurse of life we imagined. Water is the great undoer. But wait, here's where it gets strange. Here's where the story turns. Because if water is so destructive, so corrosive, so relentlessly aggressive, how is it also the foundation of all life? How does the same molecule that hollows out mountains also flow through your veins right now, keeping you alive? This is the paradox at the heart of water, and it's one of the most beautiful, most unsettling truths in all of science. Life didn't emerge despite water's destructive power. Life emerged because of it. Think about it this way. If water were gentle, if it didn't tear molecules apart, didn't dissolve everything it touched, then nothing inside your cells could move. Nothing could be transported. Nothing could be transported. Your body is, in a very real sense, a controlled chemical fire, and water is the substance that lets that fire burn without burning out. Every thought you've ever had, every heartbeat, every breath, all of them depend on water's willingness to rip molecules apart and shuffle them around. Your blood is mostly water. Your brain is about 75% water. The electrical signals firing across your neurons right now, they depend on dissolved ions, sodium, potassium, calcium floating in a sea of water, kept apart and brought together by water's polar nature. So here's the unsettling truth. The same chemistry that destroys mountains is the chemistry that keeps you alive. Water is not separate from death. Water is not separate from life. Water is the bridge between them, the medium in which both happen, the stage on which the entire drama of existence is performed. You are not just made of water. You are, in a sense, animated by its destructive power, harnessed and held in delicate balance. And that balance is more fragile than you think. Let's leave chemistry for a moment. Let's talk about history, because if you want to know what water is capable of, you need only look at what it has done. In 1931, the Yangtze River in China overflowed its banks. By the time the waters receded, somewhere between 1 and 4 million people were dead. It remains to this day one of the deadliest natural disasters in human history. Not from fire, not from war, from water simply going where it wanted to go. In 2004, a single underwater earthquake off the coast of Sumatra triggered a tsunami that killed nearly 250,000 people across 14 countries. The wall of water moved at the speed of a jet airliner. Entire towns were erased in minutes. Hurricanes, floods, mudslides, storm surges. The deadliest natural events on this planet, year after year, are almost always water-related. Not earthquakes, not volcanoes, water. And it's not just the dramatic events. Water is the silent killer in slower forms too. Drowning is one of the leading causes of accidental death worldwide. Waterborne diseases, cholera, dysentery, typhoid have killed more humans throughout history than every war ever fought combined. The Black Death itself, which wiped out a third of Europe, was carried in part by fleas thriving in conditions that water shaped. We tell our children to fear fire. We teach them to respect lightning. But water we welcome. We splash in it. We swim in it. We trust it. And yet water has killed more of us than any other element on earth. Now let me tell you something that might genuinely disturb you. You can die from drinking water. Not contaminated water. Not polluted water. Pure, clean, perfect drinking water. It's called water intoxication, or hyponatremia. Drink too much water too fast, and you flood your cells with so much fluid that they swell. Your brain, encased in the rigid box of your skull, begins to push against the bone. Pressure builds. Neurons misfire. Eventually, the brain stops working. People have died this way. Marathon runners. College students at hazing rituals. Contestants in radio show drinking competitions. The very substance keeping them alive in the wrong amount became the thing that killed them. That's water for you. The dose makes the poison. And water gentle, life-giving water is no exception, but it goes deeper than that. Inside every cell of your body, water is performing acts of controlled violence right now. It's hydrolyzing molecules, using its own polar nature to snap chemical bonds and break larger compounds into smaller ones. Digestion is, at its core, water tearing apart your food. Aging is, in part, water's slow chemical wear and tear on your tissues. Even the proteins in your body unfold and refold in response to water's relentless tugging. You are not separate from water. You are a temporary structure built inside it, a pattern that water flows through, sustaining itself only as long as it can hold its shape against the tide. And eventually, of course, it can't. Eventually, water wins, as it always does. Let's pull back. Let's go even further. Across the universe, scientists search for water as the holy grail of life. Find water on Mars, on Europa, on the icy moons of Saturn, and you've found a possible cradle for life. We treat water like a beacon of hope, a sign that we are not alone. But here's something to consider. If water is as destructive as it is creative, if it is the great solvent, the great undoer, the patient eraser of worlds, then perhaps every drop of water in the universe carries this same dual nature. Every alien ocean, every frozen moon, every comet streaking through deep space. Water doesn't just enable life. Water also limits it. Water defines what life can be, and water determines how long that life will last. And there's one more thing, something most people never consider. The water you drank this morning is older than the earth itself. That's not poetry, that's chemistry. The water molecules in your body, the ones flowing through your bloodstream right now, were forged in the cold reaches of interstellar space, billions of years ago, before our sun even existed. They drifted through the cosmos, were caught up in the cloud of dust and gas that became our solar system, and eventually rained down on the young, molten Earth. Every sip you take connects you to deep time, to the death of stars, to the birth of planets, to something so old it makes the human story look like a single flicker of a candle. And that ancient, eternal molecule, the one that has dissolved worlds, drowned civilizations, hollowed out mountains, and animated every living thing that has ever existed, is currently inside you, right now, doing its silent, patient, relentless work. So, is water the most dangerous molecule on Earth? The answer, it turns out, isn't simple. It's something stranger, something more profound. Water is not dangerous because it wants to harm us. Water doesn't want anything. Water has no malice, no intent, no awareness. What makes water terrifying is precisely its indifference. It dissolves the saint and the sinner with the same patient touch. It carves a canyon and a coffin with equal ease. It nourishes the child and floods the village without distinction. Water is dangerous because it is everything. It is the medium of life and the agent of death. It is the architect of existence and the slow eraser of all things. It is in your tears, your blood, your breath, the rivers that feed your cities, and the oceans that will eventually swallow them. We have built our entire world on the assumption that water is friendly, that it is simple, that it is safe, but water is none of those things. Water is older than us, vaster than us, and infinitely more patient. Water was here before life began, and it will be here long after the last living thing has gone. The next time you hold a glass of water in your hand, look at it carefully. Really look. See the way the light catches inside it. Notice how clear, how innocent, how harmless it appears. And then ask yourself, is it really water that flows through the world, or is it the world that flows through water? Because here's the final unsettling thought. The thought that should keep you up tonight. We are not the masters of water. We are the temporary guests of it. We are patterns it makes, briefly, before unmaking us. And the most dangerous molecule on Earth isn't dangerous because it threatens us from outside. It's dangerous because it's already inside. It always has been. And one day, drop by drop, it will quietly take everything back.